Welcome to the latest edition of the Centre Ice UK podcast. I'm your host Raymond Monaghan, and thanks for joining me. It's a quick-fire show for you this week, in which has been an extraordinarily busy week as we approach that Christmas period that will mark the halfway point of the Rapid Solicitors Elite League season. The GB Under-20 side are also in action this week. We'll bring you the latest going on there with all the usual stuff from the Elite League. Also, a very special occasion for all hockey fans this week, as the one and only Stanley Cup arrived in Scotland earlier this week on Tuesday morning. I was very fortunate to be one of the first group of people to get pictured with it, so a big thanks to Chris Ellis and Ice Hockey UK for that honour and privilege. I never thought I'd ever get to see the Stanley Cup in person, so it was an absolutely thrilling moment, and I hope many of you also got to experience that with the exhibition down at Dumfries Ice Bowl. The Cup was there this Wednesday morning for all to see. As always, if you want to let me know what you think of the podcast, any suggestions, or maybe if you'd like to contribute, then you can email me on comments@centreiceuk.com. Remember, you can like us on Facebook, that's facebook.com/centreiceuk. You can also follow on Twitter, @centreiceuk. I know some folk have been asking if the show will go up in iTunes or not. The answer is yes, it will. I hope to have it up there in the new year. I'll keep you all updated once that process gets finalised. Now, let's drop the puck at centre ice and start the first period. On to your results of the past week before looking ahead. Let's start off with Friday night. Nottingham Panthers snatched an overtime win away to the Braehead Clan with 3.7 seconds to go before overtime finished to go to the shootout. Saturday night, and the Belfast Giants celebrated their return to the Odyssey Arena with a 6-3 win over Edinburgh. Fife Flyers got back to winning ways, hosting the Hull Stingrays, winning in a shootout that really went the distance. 3 rounds were needed before the deciding shot was took. 4-3, your final score there. Then, the live match on Premier Sports. Braehead Clan bounced back from the previous night's disappointment to defeat the Cardiff Devils by 8-4 at Braehead Arena. Sunday night was also a goal feast, the Fife Flyers making that long trip down to Coventry and lit up the lamp 5 times unanswered in the third period to shock the Blaze with a 7-4 victory. Edinburgh Capitals sustained their first home loss in almost a month in a close 5-4 contest against Hull. And finally, Cardiff returned home to play the Dundee Stars, which ended up going to penalty shots, the Devils edging it for a 5-4 victory. Now on to your fixtures for this week. Wednesday night, the Steelers, with that 10-day break, picking up a 4-1 win over the Capitals at Ice Sheffield. Thursday night saw Hull Stingrays visiting Dundee, and the hosting Stars got a come-from-behind victory, grabbing an overtime marker to make it a 3-2 win. Friday night, Belfast are at home to Fife. On to Saturday, Edinburgh make that trip down to Hull. Cardiff host Nottingham. Belfast once more at home with Sheffield visiting this time. And the live action on Premier Sports from Kirkcaldy Ice Rink, the Fife Flyers play the Braehead Clan. Sunday's fixtures, Braehead go down to Nottingham, a match that doubles as a Challenge Cup quarter-final first leg tie. Blaze are at home to the Steelers, and finally the Capitals return home to face the Stars. That's time up for the first period. After the buzzer, we'll start the second. For my guest this week, I speak to Braehead Clan's defenceman, Chris Frank. Chris, you're in Centre Ice UK. Thanks very much for talking to me.
Thank you. How you doing?
Very well, thanks. And you've been in Scotland now for the past few months, and you're a bit familiar with the clan and Scotland, having visited as an opposition player. Now that you've been settled in, how are you finding life in Scotland, both on and off the ice?
Yeah, on the ice it's been real enjoyable so far. I think we have a team that's probably surprised a lot of people and a lot of people around the league. It's been pretty good so far. I mean, we've had some issues with injuries and whatnot this year, but I think everyone in the league kind of has been struggling with that. And fortunately, we've been able to continue to produce through those injuries. So on the ice, it's been going pretty well. Off the ice, it's been going well as well. I can't complain. Everyone I've talked to and spoken to have been more than generous and happy to help me with anything I need. Being the Clan fans, it's nice being on the good side of them as opposed to the wrong side of them. And it's you heard the buzz around the league about how dedicated the fans were here and playing for them. You really get to experience it.
Ryan Finnerty went on about the injury problems and he's not seen anything quite like it. What does it say about the character of the team when you're still able to grind out all these points?
Well, I mean, it's obviously it shows great character. I mean, we got a group of guys that are extremely professional in their approach, and they don't let too many things bother them. They don't let too many. You can obviously tell just in the way the guys prepare for games and whatnot. It's business as usual, and that's huge in any situation. Whether you go on a streak, whether you're going through a tough time with losses or injuries or whatever the case is, as long as the guys are professional about it and don't really feel sorry for themselves, I think that's the biggest thing to our success so far.
Now we'll quickly look back just at last weekend there. It was 2 home games and you bagged 3 out of 4 points, starting off with that unfortunate overtime loss to Nottingham. You were in the stands, unfortunately, for that game. What was your kind of view of the match from where you could see it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that our biggest weakness this season has been the fact we haven't been able to put together a full 60 minutes of hockey, and we do have some lapses from time to time. And unfortunately with Nottingham, I think we probably got off to a slow start, especially at home and against a team that had a bit of a road trip to get there. It's definitely the last thing you want to do. And you look at Cardiff, who had a long road trip as well, and a start is huge for us at home. I think the travel when we're in Scotland is our biggest advantage because we should be able to jump on teams. And with Nottingham, it was a great 40 minutes, but unfortunately in the first period we didn't really play to the style of game that we're known for this season.
Now for guys like yourself, Lustin, the other guys that have been injured too, when you're in the stand, do you take a role on sort of match nights to give the guys moral support, or do you just kind of let them get on with it for the match night?
You just kind of let them do their thing. I mean, guys have been playing this game for a long time now, and they all have their own routines, so they don't let too many outside distractions get to them. Myself, especially when you're not playing for the week of practice, it's really just kind of, you get your reps in, but you make sure that everybody else gets theirs in first so that they can get prepared for the game. But aside from that, on game day itself, you kind of just try to stay away from them and not be a distraction for them.
Now, Saturday night, you had the live TV game against Cardiff Devils, and as you mentioned as well, you were wanting a fast start, and you got that with the quick ones there. Was that a much more pleasing performance compared to the night before? Yeah,
absolutely, and I think it was one of our closest to a full 60 minutes of hard work of sticking to the game plan. The quick start was massive, and it really just changes the way that you can approach the game and you can play the game. Playing with the lead, it's always, I wouldn't say it's easier, but it's definitely a relief throughout the game. When you're playing, you can possibly take some chances here and there, as opposed to other times when you probably shouldn't when you're behind, kind of thing. So, it was definitely really good to get jump ahead at the start.
And looking ahead to this weekend, it's 2 away games for you. You've got Fife on the Saturday night, which is another live game for you, and you've got Sunday Nottingham, which is League and Challenge Cup. What do you think the Clan will need to do to get the 2 wins in those games?
They're both road games, so I think it's very important that we stick to our game plan, keep it simple, and just kind of do the same thing we've been doing when we're on the road. With the veteran guys we have, so far we've been able to do well with that, and everyone's kind of buying into the system, which really helps when you're playing in hostile atmospheres.
And having those games live, did that give chance for any of your friends or family to watch, or did any of the guys maybe approach it slightly differently or that?
I couldn't speak for other guys, but myself personally, it's just kind of another game. You don't really think too much about it being a TV game when you're out there. It's just really focusing on what you need to do your job and to help the team out in any situation you can. So you rarely really think about it unless there's the quick face-offs or the extended breaks because of a commercial. Then in those situations, it's kind of nice to get a breather from time to time in the long breaks.
Now, just before we finish up, you're the main sort of clan contact for anything relating to charity work or that. Could you tell us a bit about some of that charity work and maybe some of the most recent initiatives you've went on?
Yeah, sure. I'm part of an organization called Hockey Players Assemble, which we focus on kind of bringing fans and players together through social media and through the internet, and trying to bring awareness and do some fundraising for local charities or charities that help the communities that the players play in. And fortunately this season, the Braehead Clan staff and players have kind of jumped on board with it, and we've had some pretty good success with the Halloween event. We raised almost 1,000 with that, and we have a goal of 3,000 throughout the course of the year with different events we're going to put on. I know a lot of Braehead Clan fans and a few of the players jumped on with our version of Movember. We called it Muzzy for Money, and we raised about just over $3,000 doing that. So I mean, the fans have really jumped on board. The players jumped on board, and I think we brought awareness for our respective charities and raised quite a bit of money for them. So it's been pretty good success right now. I know Coventry is putting on, they just announced today, they're putting on a food drive through Hockey Players Assemble and Coventry Players charity as well. So that's coming up pretty soon. And yeah, we've had some pretty good success with it so far.
Do you have an idea of what might be on the radar for you in the near future?
Yeah, we're going to be having a fashion show coming up for the Braehead Clan players. They're going to be participating, and it'll be a nice evening at David Lloyd's where a 3-course meal will be available upon anybody who purchases a ticket, and get to see all the players show off this season's in-style clothing from the next store. So it should be a pretty good night. If you want more information about it, then they can follow us at HP Assemble on Twitter, and our website is www.thehpassemble.org, and they can check out anything that's going on around the league, around other leagues, and around the world, and obviously with the Braehead Clan.
Right, Chris, well that's great. So all that's left for me to say is good luck for the weekend and best of luck with the charity drives this season as well.
Yeah, gorgeous. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Many thanks to Chris there and the Braehead Clan for letting me speak to him. Make sure you keep updated on the fantastic work that Chris and his associates do for various charities throughout the year. Every little you can do does help. I did have a second guest penciled in for this podcast, however there was a last minute rearrangement and that interview will now happen next week. I'll keep you in suspense for who it is and what it's about, as I think you'll find it's a really fascinating one to hear. Now just a couple of items for your discipline and transaction news. Panthers forward David Clark was assessed a 5+ game misconduct for boarding following a supplementary discipline request by the Braehead Clan. That 25-minute penalty will now be added to his playing records. Now, while on the face of it that would imply essentially no action taken, it does mean a repeat offence this season will result in a ban, much like Chris Franks last week, who was given a match ban for repeat offence with high sticks. That was it for discipline, now on to transactions. Rock Pajak was released by the Fife Flyers last week, and he has subsequently signed for the HC Bolzano in Italy. Former Panthers Dean Nick Anderson and former Caps forward Les Rainey have both signed for The Hague in the Dutch League. That marks the end of your second period. Now let's go to the final stanza. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the GB Under-20s team are in action in Dumfries during this week. The group doesn't conclude until Sunday night, so I'll give you the latest results for Team GB so far. At the time of recording, 3 games have been played so far. The first a 4-3 overtime defeat to Italy, then a 6-1 loss to Kazakhstan, and then an absolutely sensational 5-4 shootout win over the top seed France to tally 3 points from 3 games. Now, GB are the promoted side in this group, so they're doing exceptionally well and are still in with a good chance of picking up a medal. We hope to have a guest next week to talk about GB's adventure. We'll be retweeting updates from Ice Hockey UK, and we'll leave links on our website where you can get highlights and how to purchase tickets or the live streams. Very best of luck to Team GB in their remaining 2 matches, and Centre Ice UK will be there Saturday to have a look at all 3 games. That's it. Thanks for listening. You can email your thoughts on comments@centreiceuk.com. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/centreiceuk, and follow on Twitter @centreiceuk. Thanks again to my guest Chris Frank for this edition, and a big thanks to you all again for listening. Enjoy your hockey this weekend.